it just blows my mind, just how people perceive these issues. And then you see people sometimes even putting laughing emojis and all that stuff.
And are they thinking about, the things, the deep stuff that they should be thinking about?
Don't minimize people's pain with jokes.
Hello, you're welcome to Gist Arena. All we do is gist, and gist. We discuss topical, trending, and exciting topics, and we have fun while at it. We invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy each thrilling moment of gist, and gist. Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Gist Arena, where all we do is gist, and gist. I am Cynthia. With me here on this episode is Adenike and Ayatunde. Hello, ladies. How are you doing? I trust that you've had a wonderful week so far, and you're enjoying your weekend. Same to our listeners as well. I trust that you've had a fruitful week, and you are having a restful weekend. And if you're going to Owambe, I trust that you are having fun and enjoying your weekend. Thank you so much for listening to us on our last episodes, and we always stay ready, looking forward to your comments and your we want to know your thoughts and what you think about what we have discussed previously. On this particular episode, we would be discussing something that is a little as sort of a serious nature to it. We want to discuss joking with weighty matters like rape and female genital mutilation. I personally feel like the more the more we're using social media, the more negatively the jokes on this on rape and female genital mutilation, FGM for short. So I'll be saying FGM. The more things like social media skits are becoming popular, the more jokes and the less levity that these very serious matters are being handled and portrayed and displayed. And for me, it is really a pandemic. I know that there have been a couple of skit makers that have been called out for just the crude manner that they have displayed or portrayed these issues, and they have paid dearly for it. I mean, I know that a lot of times they still end up coming back and whatever, but I'm happy that there's been a call out to it. So over to you, ladies. What do you think about the role that social media has played in the way that rape and FGM is being perceived by people?
Hello, Cynthia. Hi, Hajanika. Hey, everyone. It's good to be here again. Oh, my week went well, and I'm sure yours was good too. Okay, let's talk about making light of weighty matters like rape, FGM. Actually, I haven't really come across any kind of joke or skit or something, of that nature about FGM. I've not even really seen, or come across so much conversation about that particular topic as much as I've seen about rape. So I may not be able to speak to FGM, but rape, oh yes, rape is something that has been discussed on social media, over and over again. And, it's just quite appalling that anybody would joke, about something as weighty or as critical as that, that anyone would make a joke out of it. And what is even really horrifying about, some of these kids is that these kids, still end up promoting, that narrative that it's okay to rape anybody, like, for whatever silly excuses that people come up, for people getting raped. These kids go ahead to promote, that narrative that, okay, if a girl does this or does that, it's okay to rape her. I mean, it's still, propagate that victim, shaming thing. It's still the victim that gets blamed, that gets shamed, that gets stigmatized for the trauma that they have gone through. How on earth, can it ever be okay for whatever reason to rape anybody? So, I mean, why would any sane human being, make skits about, the only type of skit that should be acceptable would be the one that, sheds more light, on things like consent, okay? That creates awareness about consent, about no meaning no. When someone says no, they mean no. Stuff like that. About educating people to keep their hands to themselves, to keep their genitals, to themselves, instead of, imposing it, so to speak, on another person. It's about, it should be about creating awareness, on harassment, saying that, look, when you approach someone, either with words, either with, verbal, non-verbal, cues, of, with whatever, if they say no, if they recoil, if they reject your advances, you should stop. You should keep your hands to yourself. Keep your words to yourself. Things like that. Those are the only kinds of skits that should be allowed when it comes to issues like rape. Not skits that will, I don't know. How do you make fun or make a joke out of something like that? It's insane.
Hi, Cynthia. Hi, Doc. How y'all doing? Hi, listeners. So I'm trying to gather my thoughts on joking with important things such as rape, FGM. Like Cynthia said, we should all just go because the explanation is too long, or the name is too long. So you people already know me. I just believe that before you even start joking, first of all, who are you joking with, and then the quality of the material or what you are joking about. I just think it's wrong. Don't minimize people's pain with jokes. As in, I think weighty matters like rape, FGM, don't even consider putting. I know many what they call those people now, comedians. I know they just are like, oh, just laugh away your sorrow. But no, there are some things that are too deep for you to just laugh away. Yeah, I understand the point of us saying that don't be so into the cancel culture that everything is cancelled. I was just having a conversation today with some people about domestic violence and how we are quick to cancel anything that doesn't follow the narrative that we like or that is the preferred one. So that's not what I'm saying when it comes to not making jokes with weighty matters, but there should be some material that if I'm a comedian and maybe I start talking and maybe it comes to mind, I could say, oh, you know what, guys, this one is now not a joke. Let's talk about this issue because I have a platform and I want to discuss it at that point. And because sometimes those comedians say that they just, when they talk about it, it brings the matter to public attention. But I think there should be a way you handle those material that even if you were joking before, when you touch on that, I'm like, okay, guys, we're not joking again. Let's discuss this thing. Why is it that the rape culture is as in, Nigeria has a rape culture and it's not okay. And so you still talk about it, but not in a way that minimizes the pain of the victims, for example, or that pushes an unhealthy narrative. So for me, I think if you're not sure you can handle the delicacy of, or let's even say FGM, someone has been traumatized, and then you're finding a way to make it a joke. If you can't handle it sensitively, I think you should just avoid it. That's what I would say. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ayotunde and Adenike. Now, away from social media, let's look at how the police reacts when cases of rape and sexual violence, is being reported or being brought to their notices. What I hear is, asking just irrelevant questions like, oh, what were you wearing? Should you have been there at night? Is that not too late? What were you doing at his house? What were you expecting? And sure, enjoy amni or this one, that one, or blah blah blah. Or for the male folk, you hear something like, waiting in the look where woman they do that one to you. Sure, if you fight back, sure, if you do this, be man you be. And this, when people see how when people see the responses to those that come forward, it sort of discourages other people from even coming forward. We currently have a popular one at our hand, and the one that has sort of gained quite a lot of popularity, which is the case of Abidisha Princess and I had adopted daughter. Now, just the way that even with the social commentary on that particular case, I've seen people say that this is the reason why rape victims don't come out. You hear something like, why are you coming out now after 5 years? Oh, is it not 10 years ago? As if that would automatically make the person stop being a rapist, or as if that would erase what has happened at the time. And then you go online and then you see something like, but she was enjoying it. Were you not enjoying it? Were you not doing that? And this one, that one, and it's just for me. I mean, it just blows my mind. Just how people perceive these issues. And then you see people sometimes even putting laughing emojis and all that stuff under posts where even this is stuff like that are even suggested. And then we come to consent. I mean, I in fact, someone was saying that if he or she feels like everybody should have to go through a class where consent is being taught and discussed, just to ensure that we all understand it, because sometimes the way people understand consent is problematic. So guys, what do you think?
Again, what I believe to be the main problem, regarding rape issues is the victim shaming, the victim blaming, putting it all back on the victim. And this really undermines the gravity of the crime that has been committed. So a crime has been committed. Can we please focus on that crime? Okay, instead of asking, the victim unnecessary question. How does that help the matter at hand? How does that solve anything? So someone goes to the police station to report a rape case. Of course, you would expect the police to take a statement. That's the normal process. But then allow the individual to recount the experience and then leave the law to take its course. What's your business with asking questions like, what did you wear? And, all other kinds of questions. How does that help the matter at hand? How does that make the victim feel better? I mean, there's something called first aid, right? So if someone has injured themselves for, for whatever reason or from whatever situation, usually all you do is apply first aid. That's the first thing you do. You give aid first, to make the situation better. You see somebody bleeding, from an injury. Do you go asking, So what were you doing there that made you fall off, whatever question? Do you do that? You first want to make the person better. Okay, so this is someone who has been, who has been raped, someone who is traumatized. This is someone who has been violated. And then you're now asking questions. Questions for what? To what end? What about the person, that committed the crime? Shouldn't that be the focus? The person that committed the crime that was committed. Why are you focusing on the victim? Why are you putting it all on the victim? Why are you asking, silly questions? It's just wrong. It's just really wrong. How things like this happen, and then all the focus just goes on the person, that is the recipient of a very, very horrible act, and then we just don't even bother about the person that perpetrated that act. How does it even make sense? I don't even understand, the purpose of those questions. I mean, why? It doesn't even show human feelings. It doesn't show empathy or anything like that. It doesn't even, you're not even sympathetic, I mean, someone has been brutalized, and all you want to do is ask. You see, the thing is, every time that kind of question is asked, what you're doing indirectly or directly is saying that in some cases, so it is okay to be raped. That is what, there is no, you can rationalize it all you want, but that's what you're doing. Anytime you open your mouth to ask that kind of question, you're simply saying, okay, that means in this situation, if you find yourself in this situation, it is okay for somebody to rape you. That's what you're saying. And that is just the nastiest thing ever. Of course, that's why people will not come out to, say that they have been in a kind of situation, because they know that it would just be like adding insult, on injury. This is someone that is, bleeding psychologically, emotionally, even physically sometimes. And then all you want to do is just compound their problem. They are still trying to, figure out what happened to them. They're still trying to deal with, with the trauma. And asking silly questions. So, of course, they would rather just keep quiet. And then, well, maybe when something happens later in future, they'll now say, oh, I've been in that situation before. And it even becomes so much difficult then, because there is no evidence, as at that time. And it will just be like opening, old wounds, because people will come at that person again. It's probably because the person is rich, or even if the person is poor, they will find an excuse, they will find rationalization. There's always the victim that gets bashed, that gets the blame, that gets stigmatized, while the perpetrator, is just, gallivanting all around. It is so very wrong. When rape cases happen, focus on the crime, focus on the perpetrator. Don't be asking silly and stupid questions from the victim, or be saying, stupid stuff like, when they were, enjoy. Those are the kind of things that will make someone so angry and say, okay, may you find yourself in that kind of situation. And if you say that kind of thing, they will not say, God forbid. Oh, so why are you running your mouth, like tap? I don't know. I just think, I also want to say that, maybe awareness, more awareness should be created, so that people, if anybody finds themselves in that kind of situation, they should get the evidence and, make the report. Of course, whether we say it from now till thy kingdom comes, some people will still, act stupidly and ask silly questions. But at least if there are add and concrete evidences, that may cushion, the effect, of all that.
So obviously it is distasteful to ask questions that make the victim that come across as victim blaming, whether it's from the police or the doctor or something. However, I would just like to chip this in. Uh, Many times I'm careful when I'm listening to someone reporting an incident where I wasn't present, because sometimes we will bash the police and all of that. But sometimes it may be that the questions the policemen were asking are such that they can get to the root of the matter. So it doesn't excuse people that give the impression that they're already biased and they believe you were asking for it. But because we've had some cases where some women have wrongly accused men, or some alleged victims have been proven to not be victims, it then makes it a bit more difficult for us to just go ahead and immediately believe the rape victim. There needs to be some form of investigation, because rape is a crime. So if you are accusing someone of rape, it needs to be investigated. And part of investigation means asking uncomfortable questions, and because they're trying to get the truth out of the alleged victim. So if that's the case, it may come across as insensitive, but that's just the investigator doing his or her job. So we need to kind of particularly when it comes to the police or the lawyer or something, I'm not as quick to call them rape apologists or to cancel them as I would even with a regular person. Many times now we've learned to ask a few more questions, because sometimes the stories don't seem to add up. But some people will tell you that since the rape victim was not expecting to be raped, it's not like they were taping the conversation because they were expecting it to turn to rape. But so that's where this rape conversation is a bit sensitive, because for people that have to investigate, they have to ask difficult questions, and sometimes uncomfortable. Sometimes the questions come across as insensitive, but that's just because they're doing their job. And so for me, I think that's where the police fall. But for many of us that are so sensitive, I know you're like, why are you asking someone that just went through a traumatic experience such a question? Sometimes it may be because they are trying to get to the root of the matter. So I'll give an example of someone that I'd gone to talk to about a professional issue I was having with one of my managers, who is male. And the advice the person had for me was for me to deal with my manager by accusing my manager of sexual impropriety. So, of course, I was taken aback, but for you to understand how deep the issue is in our minds, there's the case of people that feel it's okay to rape, but there's also the case of people that feel it's okay for females to accuse any man that doesn't do their bidding of trying to assault them. So that's why the conversation is that's why I said it's not something you want to joke with. It's something that is too delicate to joke with.
Thank you so much, Ayotunde and Adenike. I just wanted to clarify or to just explain further. It's the same thing, anyways. That it's not a matter of being sentimental, or maybe saying that the police should not do their jobs and everything. Just like Ayotunde said, when someone has come to report, I think it's sort of, I mean, let the person report, take the person's statement. In the process of investigation, you can then start to poke holes in the story that the person is giving. But when someone has come to report, and the initial sort of kickback that they are getting, and I mean, from stories that we have heard, it's not like they are just asking, maybe like just, just blanketly. You can some of most often than not, they're already asking with judgment in the tone of their voice. And I like what Adenike said, which is said that most often than not, the person has been through a lot, and the person is feeling like they are sort of already judging, knowing fully well that someone that is reporting, there's a chance it's not a false report. I think that there should be sort of they should know how to make the victim, quote and unquote, at least the alleged victim, comfortable enough to be able to give the story that he or she, because men also get raped, he or she wants to give, without feeling like they are judging her or they are judging him. Already we know that when there's a rape issue, if you go to the police, they might look. That's just the general knowledge. Now, if I go there, they might look down on me. You're not sure what you're going to encounter when you get there. So I think it makes sense that at the point of reporting, which is what we're even saying, at the point of reporting, let the person report without any judgment. Maybe, funny enough, let's assume the person even came to the police station with the way maybe the person was dressed, and maybe they can see that the person is scantily clad and all of that. Already they might already be passing judgment that if you did not dress like this, maybe you won't have been raped, all that kind of thing. So what I am saying, and I mean what I'm saying is, let the person report without fear of judgment, without them looking down on her, without them asking questions that sort of point to the fact that the person brought it on themselves. Same with maybe marriage situation. Someone is reporting and they're making comment like, no be man you be, how your wife go they do that kind of thing, all those kind of stuff. Let the person report without fear of judgment. Let the person report without not just any judgment. Just take their report. During their investigation, you can then poke holes in the story, do whatever you want to do. That's the idea of that. Now we've spoken about social media, the way the police make light of sort of these issues. Now let's come to the family setting, nuclear and extended. We've had situations where members of families, were going through these issues, and when they reported, I think funny enough, we've kind of deviated from the FGM. Now we have kind of focused on rape because we have more instances and examples, and that's fine. So back to what I was saying. When people speak up, sometimes, not every time now, when people speak up in the family setting, you see family members trying to cover up because in their heads and their minds they don't want to sort of open the family secret to everyone to hear, and so they are making this reports and claims, and you can see the family is saying that I for bumasho. In English, that means that let's just cover it. Let's cover it with our clothes. We cannot take our shame outside and stuff like that. And then they kind of sometimes when they even report, they don't even believe them. They say, how can you? I mean, that's if they place that person higher than the family member that is reporting, and that always happens. I mean, not always, but most often that isn't more common than we might like to accept. We've seen instances where people are now older, they're now full-fledged adults, and they're saying, oh, I was raped when I was in my teen years, or when I was younger than my teen years, and I told my mom or my dad or my family knew about it, and they covered it up and all of that. And now they are now hating their parents and all of that. We've also had of instances where these people went to live with an extended family, and that happened, and they told the closest member of the family, and they sort of downplayed, made light of what they were trying to say. It could be because they did not believe them. It could be because they did not want such shame to get out, and maybe other reasons. What do you think?
Uh, it's actually pretty difficult. Okay. The person that is probably saddled with the responsibility of taking an action. I mean, the person that the issue got reported to now, it's more or less like between the devil and the deep blue sea, or between a rock and a hard place. So, and I'm guessing that that individual is probably thinking, like, if I expose this now, it's going to bring shame, to the family. I mean, it's a shameful thing, that a family member, an older family member, an older relative, has violated a younger relative. It's like, oh wow, taboo, incest, stuff like that. or sometimes even it's the father, that is doing that to the child. So that individual, whether the mother, whoever, it is, that is saddled with that responsibility of taking an action, is like, this thing is shameful. If I blow the trumpet, it's going to bring the family to disrepute. It's going to bring shame. It's going to bring discord, and all of that. So they are trying to like, maybe I shouldn't, say anything about it. And I'm thinking I also, probably thinking about the victim, that it's also shameful. I mean, we know that, we know the way the society reacts to rape, the victim most times gets stigmatized. I mean, I've heard people referring to a rape victim, as damaged goods, for instance, and stuff like, who's going to want to be with someone who has been raped? It's like, especially if it's a woman, it's like, oh, this person has kind of like lost, their value and stuff. So the person may also be thinking, if I blow the trumpet, then the victim also, becomes a recipient, of stigmatization, and the rest like that. So it's like the person will still experience shame too. So I'm guessing that this person will probably be thinking, oh, let me not say anything. Let's just keep it hush hush, so that we cover everybody's shame, including that of the victim. But what about, beyond this shame and all of that? Because honestly, society will talk, society will say stuff and everything like that. But I mean, we've heard of scandals here and there, and people move on from the scandal, and another news comes up. Everybody stops talking about that. Something else, something new comes up, and then, people are talking about the new stuff and everything. So it happens all the time. And so I think people, sometimes are able to rise above, societal scandals and everything. But what about, the damaging effects to the individual's psyche, to the victim's psyche, the mental health, the total well-being, overall well-being? Is anybody thinking about that, when they are making a decision whether to kill the matter, whether to sweep it under the carpet or to do something about it, to report it, for instance? Is anybody really thinking about, how the victim is going to suffer psychologically, and in other aspects, is anybody thinking about the wound that may never heal, simply because justice was not served, simply because it was treated like, oh, it didn't matter, simply because this person will still have to keep facing probably, the perpetrator? Is anybody thinking about that? And then, is anybody even thinking that this person that, has committed this this very horrible act, that is, he or she, is still able to walk around and do the same to other people, or even to the victim? Because there are cases of, repeated rape incidences where the same person is repeatedly raped by the same, perpetrator. Is anybody thinking about that? Is anybody thinking about the crime that has been committed? Should crime, be allowed to fester? Should a criminal be allowed to walk free simply because they are a family member or a relative or something? So I I think most times when people decide to keep the matter, to just sweep the matter on under the carpet, they are really not thinking quite deep, or they just, it's like they just think superficially, and most times too, they are also thinking about themselves because, well, it's their family, right? So if any kind of shame is going to come on the family, they will be affected too, right? Because they belong to their family. So they are also thinking about themselves and thinking about, how they would be represented, before others or in the society. But then are they thinking about, the deep stuff that they should be thinking about? So that's what I think. I know it's pretty difficult. It's a difficult decision to make, but now, wow.
Thank you, Ayotunde. I share the same sentiments with you, especially how family members tend to downplay the effect or the experiences that a victim has gone through when they report to their relatives, especially if the alleged perpetrator is also a family member, close or extended. I don't know what the thing is, sorry, with shame. I don't know why the first thing that comes to mind is shame, and having to cover it, cover the shame and everything. And this even spills to a current popular alleged molestation that is currently that's currently taking over the social media wave. And there's another popular person coming out to discuss with one of the persons in view, and telling them that, oh, begging them basically to not publicize or to not say anything about the alleged molestation. And the person is basically saying, no, I begged this individual and she refused, and she chose to went public or report. She chose to go public, sorry, or to report it. And I'm like, how do you even come out to say such? How do you even justify such level of things? And I think that a lot of times, well, I don't want to generalize, but sometimes we realize that a lot of these cover-ups happened back in the days where they felt like they needed to preserve the family and everything. And then you realize, and just like you said, Ayotunde, sometimes they end up this alleged rapists or alleged molesters go they don't stop at that one incident that they've chose not to deal with or to report or to actually sort out. They end up going on to perpetrate the act on other people, and these people may not even be as lucky as the victims in this case. Sometimes, people go through things that lead them to suicide, that lead them to not just not being able to go through life as normally as they would if they didn't go through the experience. So I think a take home for us should be that when people come to us with such revelations, we should try as much as possible to put ourselves in this person's shoes and sort of give concrete advice. If you're in a position where you can report, that means, if you're a guardian, if you're a parent, if you are an elder, and you know that you can report this matter, please do so. A crime has been committed. Let the appropriate authorities deal with it. Stop covering stuff in the name of keeping your family away from shame. It absolutely does not make sense. On this note, we've come to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening to us. We'd love to hear your opinions on all the matters that we've discussed, especially the matters that Ayotunde raised, which is sort of should stir up our thoughts, and just let us know what you think. Do you have opposing views? Do you think something that we've said, maybe we don't have the morals and right or whatever? Let's know. Just it's a safe place. Come out and speak to us. Come out and just engage us. We look forward to seeing your comments on our Instagram post. Our Instagram handle is at Gist Arena, ending with a double A, and we're also on YouTube. On YouTube, we are Gist Arena. Please subscribe to us and also watch our episodes there. Thank you so much for listening to us on this particular episode. Until next time, do have a lovely rest of the week. Bye. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Gist Arena. We hope you enjoyed the topic discussed. Please drop your comments and let us know what you think about it. We'll definitely love to hear from you. Until next time, bye!